Thank you. Health and Social Service Committee, Legislator Arnold Drucker.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Celia Bino.
Here.
Thank you. Ranking Member Delia DeRiggi Witten.
Here.
Legislator James Kennedy.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Laura Schaefer.
Here.
Legislator Vincent Muscarella.
Here.
Chairwoman Rose Marie Walker.
Here.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you. Right, there are 4 items on the agenda today. I will first call clerk item 324-17 and clerk item 341-17, which are both ordinances supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the health department. A motion, please, by Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Legislator Kennedy.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. Item 324-17 is a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $24,510. This is for the Adolescent Use Prevention Act. It is New York State Department of Health funding. It is a COLA award, and the grant is to conduct certification checks on tobacco retailers and vendors in Nassau County to ensure compliance with New York State law.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Legislator DeRiggi Witten.
Thank you. I'd be remiss by not mentioning, especially because today's the anniversary of her passing, but I would love to see this administration, this board, this legislature pass the Smoking 21. People ask me about it all the time, and I really never have a good answer as to why it's not called. But we're lagging behind the counties around us, so I can't think of a better tribute to Judy than at least having that discussed. So if there's any way the health committee, especially you, Rose, as the chairwoman, could bring that up, we would love to just at least have a hearing on it. So thank you.
Okay, and just that you know that this is the state law that enforces tobacco 18 and the funding for that, and so it is our hope that eventually the state will enforce that tobacco 21, where the funding would come from to make sure the stings could take place and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think this is good. It's a step in the right direction. But all the other counties have moved it up, mainly from the research showing how addicting it is at this age. The kids' brains are just not, they're just more vulnerable to being addicted to tobacco. And, honestly, that's up to 25, but we're not going to ask for that. I think 21 to be in line with the other counties would really make sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other legislators? Any public comment? Okay, clerk, item 341-17.
Item 341-17 is a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $4,113. This is for the children with special health care needs. This is an additional COLA award. It's funded through New York State Department of Health, and it is to provide information referral to families of children under the age of 21 who have special medical diagnoses.
Any comments or questions from the legislators? Any public comment? All those in favor of clerk item 324-17 and 341-17 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The motion will move. It will move on to finance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ellen, and thank you for all your help this summer with our beach closures and everything else that you kept us all on top of. Okay, clerk item 340-17 and 342-17 are both ordinances supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Department of Human Services. May I have a motion? Oh, sorry, may I have a motion, please, by Legislator Schaefer, seconded also by Legislator Muscarella.
Brian Hall, Human Services. Item 340-17 is our annual grant appropriation to run our methadone clinic for 2018. It's 100% grant funded from New York State Oasis.
Any questions or comments on item 340? Okay, item 342-17.
Okay, item 342-17 is also grant funds from New York State Oasis. These funds are used to, for all our contracts with our outside agencies running chemical dependency clinics and counseling centers. It's for 2018, and again, it's 100% funding.
Any questions or comments from legislators? Any public comment? All those in favor of clerk item 340 and 342-17 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained, and they will also move on to finance. We have a motion to adjourn by legislator Stabler, seconded by legislator Kennedy. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the next is finance. The next committee is finance. Yeah, I was surprised they jumped in. It's finance? Yes, the next committee is finance.
Get up early. I had a research. Yeah, because I don't tell them. Because the last time. Oh, they waited. Hopefully some. Not usually.
Oh, they never found it. Well, they haven't even done anything about his. They're fortunate that hold it. Oh, all right.
Okay, I'm coming out.
For labor? Oh, you guys are done? Yeah, I'd like going to be boarded.
My sister does too.
Wait. That's it, I'm gonna do it.
I want to, seriously, what season is she on? They'll come around being
I feel like, yeah.
I know, I should look.
Oh my god, but it felt better since I stopped doing the air conditioning. Yeah, I turned it on.
I get sick, when I get sick, like I'm at home, like, I'm like, thanks. Nobody ever does it. Yeah, he's like. Take care of me. Leave it. I shut up.
Yeah, well, I didn't hurry it. We'll make it perfect. Yeah, we want it. Yeah. Yeah, we'll make it.
I don't use like.
Oh, wait. They do come in with everything. Yeah, when you swipe her. Okay, but you never give her. It's like you never give her.
I spiked it.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know how much they are. A lot of the limos are like.
No, I'm not that good.
Oh, I have. No, your face. We're gonna reduce this. That's right. That's so bad. You look like.
Seriously?
Yeah, you don't want to do it. Yeah. Nothing, it's just nothing.
Hanging out.
Me too.
For
And
this?
it's so much better.
That's, hold on, first of all, everyone's seen this.
They're lying to you.
I guess my fault.
They're lying to you. You're recording.
Can I get? Alex? Not for
We're not judging your suit.
my beard.
Everyone should be but you can't find his green.
Go there.
Rose Walker.
What do you got?
Calling the Finance Committee to order, and I can call roll.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee roll call. Legislator Ellen Birnbaum.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Laura Curran.
Here.
Ranking Member Celia Bino.
Here.
Legislator Donald McKenzie.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Rosemary Walker.
Here.
Vice Chairman Vincent Muscarella. Chairman Richard Nicolello.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. All of these, obviously, items, 2017 items. 307 is a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to a personal services agreement between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the County District Attorney and Jack and Jill of America. Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator McKenzie.
Bob McManus, District Attorney's Office. This is a penny amendment to a previously approved agreement that began in January 2015. The initial agreement called for the District Attorney's Office to provide funding for Jack and Jill of America, Incorporated, Nassau Branch, for their 7th annual Teen Leadership Series. Upon receipt of the fully executed contract, we submitted claim forms to the Controller's Office for payment. Some of the claims were rejected because the vendor had expended funding to procure items for the event in December prior to the start of the actual contract. We consulted with the Controller's Office and were advised to obtain a purchase order to cover the items purchased prior to the beginning of the agreement. We prepared a requisition. At the end of a fairly lengthy process, we received a purchase order. When we attempted to expedite the purchase order, we were informed by the Controller's Counsel that a purchase order was not the appropriate method of reimbursing the vendor and that we needed to prepare a contract amendment. We submitted the amendment in March of 2017 after receiving approval from the state to expend funds for a period of time that preceded the beginning of the grant that was financing this item. While this item is extremely late, there is no additional funding involved. We seek your approval to move the start date of the previous agreement back 31 days in order to reimburse the vendor for bills that we have no other way of paying at this time.
Thank you for that explanation. Anyone have any questions, Mr. McManus? Thank you. Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. Item 313 of 2017 is a resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant directing the treasurer of the County of Nassau to pay to the supervisors of the several towns and the treasurers of the several villages and cities within the county the sums as apportioned by the Nassau County Legislature based on a report filed by the county treasurer and the county clerk showing deposits for mortgage taxes for the quarter beginning April 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2017. Move it, Legislator Muscarella, seconded by Legislator Walker. Items before the committee, any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that carries unanimously. Item 314 is a resolution to authorize the transfer of appropriations heretofore made within the budget for the year 2017. Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Muscarella. Do we have a speaker on this? It's a budget transfer. Usually we have speakers for the items that haven't gone through other committees.
I believe this item is for $100,000.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is Roseanne Deleva. And I'm speaking on this item. Basically, there was a program funded in the Department of IT for, and the following appropriation, it's in conjunction with the following appropriation supplemental of 315-17. The program that the Department of Information and Technology ran needed additional funding to support students, to support underprivileged individuals to work at the county and have an internship for the summer.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions or discussion? Any public comment? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 315 is a ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Department of Information Technology. Moved by legislator Walker, seconded by legislator McKenzie.
How are you? Yes,
Good,
this is
thank
Ed Eisenstein from the IT department. This is for 80 foster kids that were brought in from the local high schools to do a summer youth program. They worked in our department, and it was actually a pretty big success. It's very nice to talk about it. We brought those kids in, they worked for IT. We taught them a number of things, how to work in a professional environment. And secondly, we taught them how to do resume writing. We taught them how to do programming. A larger number of them had a big success story. This is the second year we've done it. Again, it was 15 departments that joined up and housed some of them and worked with them. 80 kids for this year, 20 last year. It was an 8-week program, and we also did 1 day a week where we did resume writing and development so they can find jobs. A number of them have actually expressed interest that this is going to be their profession for life. So, very successful program. Thank you.
This is a $220,000 grant from the New York State Office of Temporary Assistance, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Coupled with county funding.
Legislator Burnham.
Were all of these students Nassau County residents?
Yes, they were all from Westbury and Hicksville High School specifically.
Thank you.
Alrighty, any other questions or discussion? Any public comment? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 316 is a resolution authorizing the signing of a New York State Department of Transportation supplemental grant agreement for funds to support police enforcement of high occupancy vehicle laws on the Long Island Expressway. Moved by legislator Mascarella, seconded by legislator McKenzie.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Greg Stefanoff from the Police Department. Item 316-17, it's a New York State HOV grant, high occupancy vehicle grant. This grant is primarily going to be used for extra enforcement to enforce laws in the HOV lanes. There's an administrative part to report numbers back to the state. I reached out to the highway unit. Approximately 13,000 tickets were written in the last grant. And approximately, I believe it was about 4,000 warnings were given also.
Any questions? Any discussion? Any public comment? Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that item carries unanimously. We're going to call several items in a row. I'm not going to be calling 322 of 2017. That will not be called today. 321, 323, 324, 325, 329. These are all ordinances supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Office of the County Clerk, Litigation Fund, Health Department, Medical Examiner's Office, and the Police Department. Moved by legislator Walker, seconded by legislator Mascarella. Do we have a speaker for these items? Okay, we have this. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yours would be the first one. 321.
Yep. John Butler, Fiscal Officer, Nassau County Clerk for Reno Connell's office. The item before you allows the Records Management Division of the Clerk's Office to secure New York State grant funding. The grant will allow us to digitize approximately 30,000 marital separation agreements, and the vendor will be a New York State Industries for the Disabled vendor.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Butler?
Yeah, this is Jeff, I'm sorry.
What did he say?
Yeah.
Over here, is there a vendor selected, or is that done after the grant is?
The vendor's already been selected.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions for this item?
We didn't hear anything.
Thank you, John.
Oh, no,
Next,
what you talking
the
about?
next several items, 323, we have a speaker on that. It's a appropriation in connection with the litigation fund.
Roseanne Zaleva, item 323 is to supplementally appropriate the $6 million for the litigation fund in order to basically be able to pay out settlements.
Any questions on this item? If there's none, we're still talking about it. Do you have a question on this? I don't know.
Yes.
Go ahead.
How much will be in the litigation fund after this?
So this appropriation is $6 million, and it is segregated for police district litigation. Currently, the litigation fund has a little over $200,000 in terms of general or county-wide settlements. That's what's remaining.
Okay.
Any other questions? Legislator Birnbaum,
So I have a question, thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. I had a question, I was just wondering whether we have litigation that's out there, we have the potential for exposure to the amount of $6 million, or?
There are, I believe, in discussions with the county attorney's office, there are several, there are a list of potential settlements.
Okay, and do we have all right.
Well, I can't, I mean.
Yeah, I know, I stopped myself short. Thank you.
Okay, Legislator Birnbaum.
Yeah, I'm just a little confused about the enormity, it seems to me, of this amount, $6 million. How is there a prior surplus from operations of this amount?
So this body approved a year-end budget transfer that is actually coordinated with the Controller's Office at the end of 2016, which actually appropriated the $6 million to the fund balance in PDD. So therefore, that we could be able to appropriate it now in 17 to be able to spend.
So it was in the fund balance?
This body actually approved a budget transfer back in, I want to say, June, that dictated this amount, the $6 million. So yes.
It's coming from the surplus.
So now we have to appropriate it into 17 because it was a surplus in 2016 that you all approved the transfer of.
Okay. Any other questions? Any public comment? All right, actually, we have several more items together, so we'll only call those as well. They've been called, but let's discuss those. 324 relates to a supplemental appropriation in connection to the health department, in connection with the health department. It's for $24,510.
Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. This is a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $24,510. This is for the Adolescent Use Prevention Act. This is New York State Department of Health funding. It's additional COLA reward. This is to conduct certification checks and compliance with the New York State law of selling tobacco to minors.
Any questions on this item? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, 325, relates to the medical examiner's office. It's the DUI testing.
Yes, Timothy Hahn, Medical Examiner's Office. This is a grant from the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee in the amount of $45,000 that's used to support drug and alcohol testing in suspected DUI cases.
Okay. Any questions on this item? No, thank you. 329 is relates to the police department. New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee grant.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Greg Stefanoff. Item 32917 is a New York State Traffic Safety Grant for $145,000. This grant is primarily going to be used for extra enforcement for aggressive driving and Operation Buckle Up, seatbelt enforcement.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to call these all together unless you want any broken out separately. So all of these are together, before us, 321, 323, 324, 325, 329. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, those items carried unanimously. $330 is not going to be called today. Items 332, 333, 334 are resolutions to authorize the county assessor and/or county treasurer and/or the receivers of taxes of the towns of Hempstead, North Hempstead, and Oyster Bay to partially exempt from real property taxation certain real properties situated in various school districts. Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Mascarella. Any discussion on these items? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, those items carry unanimously. Okay, I'm going to call another bunch. 338, 340, 341, 342, 343, 344, and 345. These are ordinances supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the District Attorney's Office, Department of Human Services, Health Department, and various other departments. Moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator McKenzie. These items went through committees a while ago, so I would ask that the minutes be incorporated by reference. Any questions on these items? Any discussion, any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, those items carried unanimously. Item 346 is a resolution authorizing transfer of appropriations heretofore made within the budget for the year 2017. Moved by Legislator Mascarella, seconded by Legislator Walker. Items before the committee relates to the health department. Come on up.
Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. These are all New York State Department of Health grant-funded programs, and they are just to maximize grant reimbursement.
Thank you. Any questions? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. Item 348 is a resolution authorizing the county attorney to compromise and settle the claims of plaintiffs as set forth in the action entitled Georgette Sorrell versus Incorporated Village of Lynbrook et al. Moved by Legislator Mascarella, seconded by Legislator Walker. This item is before the committee. We're going to go into executive session. Legislator McKenzie makes a motion to go into executive session. Legislator Walker. Yeah. Legislator Walker seconds the motion to go into executive session. All in favor of going into executive session signify by saying aye. Aye. And we're inviting the Rules Committee to join us so we can do this all at once.
Let's go and have some. Executive session. This cake. When you find out, I don't know whether I have a third candidate.
Oh, no.